Well, hey everyone, how you doing? Good to see you virtually here. Welcome back to ArtSpeak University. If this is your first time to ArtSpeak University, we want to welcome you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for making time to come and learn with us. ArtSpeak University is a weekly thing that we do as a community. We gather together as church creatives and learn new things from each other, share ideas. It's one of our cornerstone rhythms of the ArtSpeak creative community. We're so excited to do it again this week with y'all. My name's Ryan, by the way. I'm a church creative, just like you. And we're here today with our fearless leader at ArtSpeak, Kirk Haddon. He's here to teach today about understanding how we are wired as creatives so that we can do our best work. I'm so excited to hear from you today, Kirk, on this lesson. I've heard it a couple times, and it's one of my favorite things you teach on. So excited to hear that today. Just as a reminder for all you hanging out in the chat, we like to save some time at the very end for some questions and answers. So use that blue ask button in the bottom right hand corner to ask some questions. And we'll get to those at the end and do some live interaction and hear from you, hear what you want to learn. So excited to hear from you today, Kirk. So take it away, man.
Thank you, Ryan. You are a pro ArtSpeak University host. So grateful for it. Thanks for hyping me up here. But yeah, grateful to be jumping on ArtSpeak University this week. Now, if you're tuning in live, then it is the Wednesday after Easter. And if you are a church creative, maybe we could just take a moment, take a deep breath. Like, yeah, Easter's Easter. We made it through Easter, death and resurrection. Maybe it felt like death and resurrection for you, but hopefully you had a fantastic weekend. But we spent the last several months just talking about Easter and how to build up for it, how to plan for it, how to market it. And so, what we'd like to do now at ArtSpeak University for the next few weeks is kind of shift gears and slow down a little bit. Maybe do something that's a little more focused on how can we establish healthy rhythms, healthy communication in our lives as creatives, and as we go into this next season. And so we kind of started in on that even last week a little bit. Focus on how to have a team, a creative team that people want to be a part of. And we're going to keep on moving there. We're going to be talking about the context of a team, but I think a lot of the things that we're going to talk about in the next several weeks apply to any context where there is more than one person involved, and you want to communicate with that other person or persons. And so, I imagine you have some context like that in your life. But we're going to start right now. This week, we're going to focus in on us. I'm calling it "Know Thyself." If you know, that comes from Socrates. Socrates says, "To know thyself is the beginning of wisdom," which you might notice that's a little different than what Proverbs says is the beginning of wisdom. But I still think Socrates is onto something here. That knowing yourself is kind of a foundational item that is going to help you do everything else in life. And so we're going to spend some time talking about that today. But another foundational item here, just our foundational core values. This is about people because people are amazing. Uh, I believe that people are made in the image of God. We are all creatives because God is a creator and made us in some way like Him, inviting us to create with Him. And if you're part of a team, I think the best part of working with a team is the people. But if we're honest, sometimes that's also the worst part of working on a team. Sometimes the worst part is the tensions that sometimes arise, the miscommunications, or the conflicts that happen with other people. And the truth is, that's going to happen anytime there's more than one person. In fact, I'm not sure you need more than one person to have tension and conflict with people involved. But if you do, if you have more than one person on a team and a relationship and a friendship and a family, I don't know, you're going to have some tension. You're going to have some frustration. You're going to have some conflict. You're going to have some misunderstandings and miscommunication. And that's because people are also a little broken. We all are. I am. There's some things in us that are not the way we wish they were. There's some things in other people that are not the way that we wish they were or they wish they were. And so we've got to acknowledge that, understand that's true for all of us. And it also means that as we go forward and we want to work with other people, we're going to have to do some hard work to learn how to communicate well with others and work well with others so that we can reduce that stress, so that we can reduce unnecessary friction and frustration and conflict, and actually build stronger relationships than we had before. And I think that's all possible. And it's wonderful. In fact, people are worth it. People are worth it. In fact, Jesus said people are Jesus said it's worth it for me to come to the planet and die for people. And so I think it's worth it for us to do some self-examination, learn some things about how to communicate well with others so that we can build great relationships with other people. We can work well with other people. And as a team, we can accomplish more than we ever could on our own. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, uh, bring a team. And so we're going to jump in the next few weeks. Basically, we're taking this framework that we use for all communication challenges at HeartSpeak. You'll see us talking about it most when we're talking about branding, and that's called the communication triangle. And so this works really well when you're talking about an organization and you want to help them sketch out how to, you want to just put it in a framework, the communication challenge ahead of you. And so with a brand, that's not very often. Okay, in this lower left-hand corner, that's the organization. That's where we're going to figure out, hey, what's unique about this church or this business and what's their service offerings. And on the other side, of course, that's their audience, the other vertex. That's the people that they're trying to talk to or are trying to reach, and who are they? What maybe their demographics there, what kind of person, what do they like, and where are they? You'll see this Venn diagram thing up here. If we're gonna push up from there, there's some things that audience wants. There's some fears that they have. There's some desires that they have. There's some things that they know that they're concerned about. There's some things on this side that this organization is concerned about that wants, and there's an overlap. Right? If there's anything to talk about at all, there's an overlap. That's the win-win. That's where there's something there that you want and they want, and now you have something to talk about. Now the truth is, this framework works with brands, but it works with people. It works with any you and them that you want to talk about. And you'll notice there, so this could be you and a family member, this could be you and a friend, this could be you and a teammate, a coworker, a boss, any other them that you want to talk about. And so let's flesh this out again a little bit deeper for that context. You'll notice there's little gaps here. In between you and another person, there's a gap. Maybe they don't know you that well. Maybe you have some past experience with this person, and that past experience, good, bad, ugly, is wherever in between, that's going to affect the way that you communicate. Maybe they don't know you at all. Well, that's going to affect the way that you communicate. All kinds of things that can exist in between it. So you're going to have to address those. There's also gaps here and there where, there's some gaps between them and what they want to do and where they want to go. There's some gaps between you and where you want to go. And the more you can fill in the details here and understand what's there, the better you're going to be able to communicate together, the better you're going to be able to work together. And so we're going to jump in here, and we're going to start on this vertex over here, this vertex that represents you. We're going to talk about you today. Everybody likes talking about themselves. And so congratulations, we're going to start there. But it does represent some hard work. It represents some honesty. But I think if we do this well, like Socrates says, it may not be the beginning of all wisdom, but it's a foundational place to start. That's going to help you, like Ryan said, do your best work. It's going to help you figure out where is that. It's going to help you figure out where do I want to go and how do I get there. And it's going to help you communicate and work well with others, because self-awareness is a kind of a requirement for empathy. And as we've said, empathy is the foundation for all effective communication. And so the more aware you are of yourself and how you work and how your brain and your heart and your emotion works, the better you're going to be able to understand how other people are thinking and feeling in a way that lets you connect and work together. So that's the goal. So we're going to talk about you this week. Next week, we're going to talk about other people. We're going to go on there from there and talk about how to find a win-win with other people and how to manage conflict. But we're starting with this framework, so that's the baseline here. So let's start with you. How do you know yourself? I'm going to start with one big question. What do you want? What do you want? Jason loves to ask this question. This is one of the foundational questions that he's learned from his life. And now, the truth is, maybe you grew up in a context kind of like mine, where you weren't supposed to ask this question. That wasn't the question. The question was, what does God want? And you're just supposed to surrender anything you want and do whatever God wants. And you're not supposed to even think about this. And but the reality is, you read scripture, you find out Jesus loved this question. Jesus asked this question a lot. He asked people, what do you want? And so I don't think it's wrong to ask. In fact, I think it's important. I think it's critical. What do you want? Now, I don't know that you sit down one day and you figure out the answer to this question. Because if you tried, that you might end up with pizza, and it doesn't have to be pizza forever. This answer might change over time, and it might have different dimensions to it, things that you realize that you want. But it's worth asking this question. It's worth coming back to this question and figuring out what is it that you want. I know for me, again, starting out, I thought, the whole point was, no, you give up every desire you ever had and try your best to figure out what God wanted for you. And that led me down a path where, like, okay, well then I'm gonna I had a plan. My plan A was I was gonna be a missionary. I was gonna be a missionary to Muslims. I was gonna go to France and live in France and be a missionary to Muslims. Um, and so I was studying and heading in that direction. And but I think the path that led me there was not asking what really is my calling or what do I want in life. I think what got me there was asking what's the hard road, because that's what we're supposed to do, right? To please God, we're supposed to figure out what the hard thing is to do. And the truth is, I still have a heart for Muslims, and I still have a heart for France, and who knows, I may yet end up there someday. But the other thing that happened was somewhere along the way, I got a hold of some Macs and some creative software and video editing and design software. And I thought, man, I love this stuff. I just enjoy jumping into it. I loved it. I love that intersection of creativity and technology and using it for a purpose that did something. And so as you start to align elements of what do you want and let that combine with purpose and meaning and calling, that's when powerful things can happen. That's the journey that led to Art Speak, to be honest. And so, what do you want? That's a foundational question. Again, it's not something you're going to answer once. You can keep coming back to that question and answer for in different contexts. What do I want in this context? What am I hoping for? Because if you're not clear about that, you're likely to find that you are frustrated but don't know why. There may be a desire there, but you haven't clarified what that is. And so if you're not able to accomplish that desire, that's where frustration happens. But if you can answer this question, then that's where the path becomes clearer, and you have direction, and you can figure out: am I frustrated? Should I be frustrated? What if I changed X, Y, or Z? All right, so that's one aspect of knowing yourself. Let's go a little deeper. Let's talk about personality. Now, personality tests are fun. I've done like all of them. Well, there's a lot, but I've done all the major ones. And in fact, as a church planter, we did the ARC model. The ARC model has the DISC profile and growth track, and so we did that like every week for years. So, which is great because it's super fast. You can give people a quiz, and they kind of land in a spot within a few minutes, and so that's useful. And so that's what you see, those four squares on the left. That if that represents DISC, basically you end up with like four possibilities, four possible personalities. On the other end of the spectrum, if you've ever done Myers-Briggs, which I've done as well, I'm an INTP, if you were wondering. You know, that's a more in-depth process, a longer test, and there's like 16 different personalities that you can end up with there. And that's a lot of different ones. And I couldn't tell you much about the other dots on that list. Um, there's a lot of complexity there. I'm going to make a small case here for Enneagram, which is in the middle there. Basically, Enneagram, you end up with 9. And some people like the Enneagram. I've heard Christians denigrate Enneagram sometimes, calling it horoscope for Christians or something. I don't think it's that. If I can make a case, I think Enneagram has the right level of complexity. There's 9 personalities there. You can get your head around that. You can learn all 9, and you can learn how to interact with other people once you figure out who you are. I think the other thing that Enneagram does better than others is that it digs into not just the behavior of your personality and how that looks on the outside, it digs into motivation. Uh, it is backed up with psychological research at this point, like things like attachment theory, to explain why. Why do you do this? Why does this behavior happen? Why do you find yourself doing this and not that? And I found that super helpful. Um, so Enneagram, I'm an Enneagram 5, by the way, we don't have time today to dig into all of the different personalities, but I'm going to encourage you to. In fact, I'm going to encourage you that the book that I read that really helped with Enneagram was The Road Back to You by Ian Crom and Susan Stabile. I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, actually. Easy read or easy listen if you're an Audible person like me, and you can read that book. I would encourage you to do that rather than take some kind of quick online test. I don't think those really work with the Enneagram. But as you read through, it just lists all of these different personalities, these different Enneagram numbers. The experience that I had and so many other people that have also read this book is that it's somewhere along the way it just hits you like, oh man, yeah, that's me, and that is why I do that. So, as a 5, I'll share a little bit of my experience so that it could maybe help you understand how this works and how it might help you. As a 5, I have this inbuilt fear, this awareness of scarcity. It's problematic, guys. And that's not, yes, that could be financial, but more so even like time or really energy. And I have this sense that the universe is constantly asking for more energy from me than I feel like I have to give. And that affects the way that I interact with the world. That affects the way that I interact with people. And knowing that about myself helps me adjust for that and understand where that's helpful and where that's not. And where sometimes what feels initially to me like this is an ask. Someone wants to take my energy, and I'm not sure I have enough already. Realizing that maybe actually they're trying to help. maybe if this interaction here is actually going to multiply the results here. It also means that I have this drive to gather as much data as I possibly can in order to make decisions. I know that I am a slow decision maker. This is a weakness of me as a 5. I make decisions slowly because I have this sense that no, I need to collect all of the data before I make that decision. And sometimes that's good. Sometimes there's a strength there. Sometimes that means that I'm able to collect a lot of data and make a good decision. Other times it just means that the decision that needs to get made gets pushed down the road because I never feel like I'm able to collect enough data. And so those are things that I've learned about me through the Enneagram, let alone ways to interact with other people who are other Enneagram numbers and understand why they react to the world differently than I do, and understand that they have a different set of fears and motivations, and understanding how now I can adjust the way that I interact with a person, or I understand better why they're reacting a certain way, and we have language to talk to each other. So I'm just going to encourage you. Again, that's a great book to start with, and as you learn that, as we get into working with other people, understanding how other people are thinking and feeling is so beneficial. Uh, with your spouse, it's been a fantastic thing for me and my wife to understand she's a two. She has a different set of fears and uh, drives and motivations. But here's what you want to answer. There's a few questions that you need to be able to answer uh, in this as you understand your personality. What drives you? What is that motivation? Why do you do the things that you do? And sometimes that's great. Sometimes there's a real strength there, and sometimes it's problematic. And you need to ask the questions to figure out which is which. What scares you? There's so much in our life that is actually driven by our fears or our insecurities. We need to understand where those come from. The better you understand that, the better you are able to adjust where you need to adjust and understand what this is why I react that way, and here's how what I can do about it. You need to understand how you react to stress, and so that you can sometimes that's just so that you recognize, oh, I am stressed. I didn't realize I was stressed until I realized, oh, I was doing this, and that's what I do when I'm stressed. This is all just about being self-aware. All right, so that's personality. I love talking about personality. We could talk a lot about that. I'm sure I see the comments already flowing here on Enneagram. I think we could have some great conversation there. But I'm going to go on to the next section here. Speaking of stress, you need to know your bucket. Bucket is a metaphor. You may have heard us use it before. But here's a bucket. Now, if you've ever, anybody else done this, you've just made a fresh cup of coffee. I have a really large coffee cup here. And sometimes if you've got it full and you have that fresh cup of coffee ready, and everybody had a sneaky sneak up on you, and just all of a sudden you've got a sneeze and you're holding a full cup of coffee, and you just ruined a white shirt. Um, Here's the deal. You could imagine that you have a bucket, and that is your capacity to handle stress and pressure. And everything that goes into it affects the level of your bucket. So, because you can't compartmentalize your work life and your home life and whatever other zones of life that we want to throw in there, there's not separate. You don't get multiple buckets. You have one bucket. And so if you've got stress happening at work, and you're stressed because you're just worried about the world, you're looking at the news, or you find out about, maybe there's family illness involved, or there's tension in a relationship somewhere. All of that comes into your bucket, and the more full that bucket is, the easier it is that some of that stress is going to splash out somewhere else. That it takes less and less of a bump for that stress to just splash out. And so you might notice this is if you've had a stressful day at work and then you come home and your spouse, your kid, or someone else that says something or does something, you just kind of lose it. Anybody on them? Or maybe it's 2 a.m. in the morning and your kid is yelling and running around the house. Uh, this may or may not have happened last night. And yeah, my bucket didn't feel very, I didn't have a lot of capacity. So I didn't respond well in that situation. And so you got to be mindful of your bucket and don't blame the last drop. Don't blame the last drop. So, if you're aware of your bucket and then you come to work and then someone says something, or there's a problem that comes up, we can kind of catch ourselves before we're just spilling our whole bucket and saying, "Oh, this is terrible. That's frustrating," or maybe spilling out on somebody else. Maybe that's at work. Maybe that's at home. Wherever that is, don't blame the last drop. Understand that all of this is cumulative. But there's also things that you can do to be aware of where you're at. Uh, here's a few tips. Oh, I got to move faster. Um, check in with yourself. You want to be aware of where is your nervous system. Did you find are you breathing faster? Is your gut clenched right now? You might try parasympathetic breathing. You can look that up, where you breathe in and then you breathe out longer than you breathe in to help change your nervous system state, give you some more capacity. You can create some intentional reset triggers where you're maybe at certain moments of the day, you're like, hey, let me just check in with myself, figure out where I am, evaluate my bucket, and then set an intention for how I'm going to be for other people. You can practice gratitude to expand your capacity there. All right, last thing. Know your superpowers. Know your superpowers and your kryptonite. You guys have amazing superpowers. In fact, some of you are noticing right now, because you have the superpower, that superpowers is not supposed to be two words. It should be one word. Congratulations, that's your superpower. If you're having trouble figuring out uh, what your strengths are, here's a few questions that you can ask just to figure out what are my strengths. Um, what comes easily to me that maybe is difficult for other people? What role do I tend to play in my context? My family, do I do people look to me to lead, or do they look to me to care for other people? What kind of problems do they ask me to help solve? Where do I find flow? What work would I do just for fun? You can think about in your history. When did I feel most successful? Where did I feel strongest? And you can start to make a chart like this one, because there are things that you like, and there are things that you're good at, and vice versa. And what you want to do in life is figure out, hey, what's in this upper right quadrant? Things that I like and I'm good at and I find flow in, I enjoy. How can I do more of that? You're going to have another quadrant down here of things that you don't like and that you're not good at. Those are going to be your weaknesses. And the great thing about being in a team is that a lot of times you can take some of those weaknesses and that those are someone else's strengths. And you can work with other people where they can come in and let their strengths be their strength for that area, and not have to trip you up. There are other things that you're going to have to address in your life that may keep tripping you up in all areas of life. And you probably already know what those are. Those might be some things you need to invest in. But what I want you to walk away with this strengths conversation, I want you to be confident in your value. Like I said earlier, a lot of interpersonal conflict, a lot of that tension, it comes from insecurity. But if you can be confident in the value that you know you have, looking at the strengths that you know you have, then you can go into those conversations, those contexts with confidence. I know that I have value. All right, yeah, let's jump into some Q&A here right at the end. We've got a couple minutes.
I love it. Man, let me just say this conviction moment of the day. Don't blame the last drop. Shoot, dude. That was good, Kirk. Thank you so much for that, man. Yeah, I love it. Want to pass some questions your way from the chat here. Andrew asked, "What's your favorite self assessment tool or process?" I know you'd mentioned Enneagram. You talked about that a lot. Is there another one that jumps to mind? Even a book or something that has been helpful for you to discover who you are apart from Enneagram?
Yeah, I mean, Enneagram's great. There's also there's plenty of uh, assessments for strengths. Like via Strength Finder, you can try that one. It's free. You can take the test online, and so
Nice.
just do a quick Google search, and you can find via. That might be a great place to start.
Great. That's awesome. Bella asked a good question too. She says, "How do we not become self-focused or selfish while also having a self-awareness? Kind of walking that line between focusing on ourselves without becoming overly focused on ourselves, I guess, if that makes sense."
The funny thing about it is the studies that have been done on this show that the opposite happens. As you are more self-aware of
Hmm.
the dynamics going on in you, that actually makes you more empathetic to others.
Hmm.
Because now you start looking at others and you realize, oh, I can imagine what's going on in their life. I can, you know. So,
That's
how
really
do you
good.
avoid being self-focused? Yeah, turns out that's not what typically happens as you go through this process.
I love it. Very paradoxical, almost like a little parable in there, which, Jesus loved to teach, and that's great. And then I think a final question for me, as I was thinking about it too, what would you say is one of the more important dynamics to explore about yourself as a creative, to really know yourself so that you can be an effective and a healthy creative.
Yeah. I think understanding your strengths and weaknesses has been huge for me. Um, the better I've been able to understand, okay, maybe this is something that I can do, but it takes me 10 hours. But if I let Ryan do it, he'll knock it out in an hour. And so being able to work with others and know
Yeah,
that I'm able to just pass that off instead of me stressing about it.
yeah,
Um,
that's great.
yeah.
Jared threw another question here, but we are at time. We want to respect everyone's time here. Jared, would love to see you throw that into our community Slack channel. But yeah, that's this week's Art Speak University. Thanks everyone for joining us. It was great to have you. But yes, just a couple reminders. If you are not yet in the Art Speak Creative community, we host conversations like this every week. That's where we share out the links for these Art Speak University sessions. But we also have all kinds of resources inside the ArtSpeak Creative Community platform, as well as access to that direct community Slack channel where you can share your projects, ideas. We can ask questions like this and have fun together, learning how to be healthy and effective church creatives. So if you've not yet joined the ArtSpeak Creative community, we would love to see you in there. Go to community.artspeakcreative.com. That's the quickest way to get there. So thanks again, everyone, for joining us this week, and we will see you next Wednesday for another ArtSpeak University.